One frequent issue parents face comes from different explanations of the fundamentals. Things as basic as addition and subtraction have recently been taught in different ways to correspond to different aims in the classroom. Suppose you had to add 74 to 15. You would start by writing out the digits with the place values aligned. The leftmost column counts the number of tens in each number, and the rightmost column counts the number of ones in each number. We could visualize the meanings of these numbers using coins. A penny is worth 1 cent, so we can represent the digits in the ones place with that number of pennies. A dime is worth 10 cents, so we can represent the digits in the tens place with that number of dimes. So 74 would be represented by 7 dimes and 4 pennies, and 15 would be represented by 1 dime and 5 pennies. Most of us learned to add by looking at the columns one at a time, starting from the right and working our way to the left. So we would take the 4 pennies from the first number and add them to the 5 pennies in the second number to get 9 pennies. Then we would examine the tens column. 7 dimes plus 1 dime gives us 8 dimes. So the total amount of money that we have is 8 dimes and 9 pennies, or 89 cents. The more modern approach is similar, but it has one key difference. Instead of starting from the right column and moving leftwards, we start from the left column and make our way rightwards. So instead of starting with the pennies, we would start with the dimes and add them up. 7 dimes plus 1 dime gives us 8 dimes, and 4 pennies plus 5 pennies gives us 9 pennies. So once again, we end up with the same answer, 89 cents. That's easy enough, but what do you do when you have to deal with numbers that have a carry? Here I'm going to show how to add 389 plus 146 in both methods. Here I've brought the coins back for visualization. Let's start from the right-hand side. 9 plus 6 is 15, but 15 pennies. Who wants to lug around 15 pennies all day? Instead, what we do is we replace 10 of those pennies with a single dime. We add this dime to the tens column. Then only 5 pennies are left, and that's the number that we place in the ones column. Now let's take a look at the tens column. We have 8 dimes from the first number, 4 dimes from the second, and 1 dime from the carry. So putting all of those together, we would end up with 13 dimes. But again, who wants to lug around 13 dimes? So let's take 10 of those dimes away and replace them with a single. So I now have an additional $1 bill, and the 3 dimes are left over. Finally, 3 single dollar bills from the first number, 1 $1 bill from the second number, and an additional $1 bill that came with the carry. That gives me a total of $5. So the total amount of money that I have after this addition is 535 cents. Or if you prefer, 389 plus 146 gives us 535. Now, let's see how to add exactly the same numbers in the more modern way. We start from the hundreds place. 300 plus 100. $3 is the same thing as 300 cents. $1 is the same thing as 100 cents. If we add these two together, we get 400 cents. Next, 80 plus 40. That's 120. 8 dimes plus 4 dimes gives you 12 dimes, which is 120 cents. And at this point, we can take all of these dimes and we can replace them with $1 to represent the carry. So adding these two together, we now have 520 cents overall before we have started adding the pennies. And the last step is to add the pennies. 9 pennies plus 6 pennies gives us 15 pennies. And again, since no one likes to carry around that many pennies, we take 10 of them away and we replace them with a dime, which is this digit 1 over here. That's what that 1 symbolizes. So we now have a total of 535 cents. Now, what about subtraction? Let's see this example. 405 minus 167. I'm going to demonstrate this in both the older way and the more modern way. Let's start with the older way. In the older way, we started the subtraction from the right and proceeded leftwards. So, 5 minus 7, you would need to borrow from the next number over. But the next digit over is a 0, so you have to go 1 digit further than that. The first digit is a 4. What we're going to do is, we're going to take this 4 and turn it into a 3, effectively removing $1 from the pile and borrowing that 1 to turn this next digit into a 10. Basically what we did is we took $1 out and we replaced it with 10 dimes. Now we're not quite done yet because we wanted to start with the rightmost digit. So to take care of the rightmost digit, we have to take one of these dimes away, turning this 10 into a 9, and bringing in 10 new pennies over to the right side. Now, this becomes relatively easy to do. 15 minus 7, so start with 15 pennies and then subtract out 7 of them. You are left with 8 pennies. 9 dimes minus 6 dimes. You're left with 3. And finally, $3 minus $1. We're left with 2. So this is our answer. 405 minus 167 is 238. And this is the right to left method of solving this question. Now, let's solve the same question, but this time proceeding by the modern procedure, starting from the left and going to the right. In the modern procedure, we start with the original number 405 and then we subtract 100. That's the same thing as starting with $4.05 and subtracting $1 to leave us with $3.05. The second step is to take these 305 cents total and subtract 60. So 305 minus 60 is going to give us 245, which is the same thing as taking away $1 and replacing it with just 4 dimes. The final step is to subtract the 7. So 245 minus 7 is going to give us 238. So we would take away all 5 of these pennies and 1 dime and replace that dime with just 8 pennies. And we would end up in precisely the same place as where we did by the other procedure. So 405 minus 167 gives us 238. As you're explaining these processes to your kids, try it out in both of these ways and see what makes most sense to them.